Hello kids, I'm Priyanka and I'm back again with my new chapter, Boons of Life. The five gifts were for a young man. Who got the fifth gift? The little child. What did fame bring with it? The fame brought envy, detraction, calumny, hate, and at last pity, including miseries and bitterness in life. What do the young man generally like? The young man generally like pleasure, power, fame, and riches. Who is the teacheress trader? Love is a teacheress trader. What did the person get at the end? The person got renewed old age and insult. What, according to the fairy, does the person does not deserve? According to the fairy, the man does not deserve pleasures, love, fame, and richness because they bring destruction in the life of a man. What did the person choose pleasure as a gift in the beginning? The person chose pleasure as a gift in the beginning because the youth wanted complete delight in his life and to enjoy luxurious of the world in order to make his life easy and perfect. Why did the fairy tells the person to choose wisely? The fairy told the person to choose wisely because she knew that a single mistake and a wrong section can destroy complete life of a person, and he has to regret throughout his life. Why were the tears in his eyes of the fairy? There were tears in the eyes of the fairy because she was regretting of the wrong section and ignorance of the person who had selected his destruction due to ignorance. Which gift, according to the person, was precious and not valuables and valueless? Wealth was a precious and valuable gift according to the person because it would make his life worthy to live, and all person who mocked and made him uneasy would crawl before him, and he could buy everything of the world and spend as much as he liked. They are not gift but merely leading. Explain the statement. They are not gift but merely leading. In this statement, the narrator wants to teach an important message to the reader that all the gifts which the fairy brought for the men, such as pleasure, richness, love, and fame, are like a loan of his life, because the loan brings happiness for a moment, and after then when we have to pay the loan in return with interest. In the same way, the gift brings unnecessary troubles and sorrow which makes the life of a man difficult. Pleasures, love, fame, riches, and temporaries and appear in our life in disguise of pain, grief, shame, and poverty, which are as interest of all these pleasure. It means the prosperity brings agonies and uncertainty in the life of men. So we must avoid the materials in our life in order to live a perfect life in the mortal world. Explain with suitable examples the lesson the story teaches us. On the behalf of the story, the narrator delivers an important lesson to the readers to avoid from the materials and glamour of the world in order to live a long and peaceful life in the mortal world. He says that expectation of strong materials and gain name and fame in the society brings unnecessary troubles in the life of human being. He makes other his enemy and rivals. Narrator says that love, fame, wealth, pleasures never remains permanent in the life, but they remain for a short time. After then begins the cause of agony, such as youth who choose a gift of his fairy one by one according to his own choice, pleasure, love, fame, and wealth, but they prove troublesome for him, and at last his life becomes the cause of humiliation, and so the man ought to remember his death and never desire to store the unless object in his life. Why was the man not satisfied with his first choice? The man was not satisfied with his first choice, which was pleasure, because the term of all pleasure was very short and it would disappoint the man. It would prove empty and useless, and at last every rejoice would depart from the grip of the man. It means the pleasure would be proved at a great trouble for a man, so he was not happy with his first choice. How did the man react after choosing the pleasure as a gift? After choosing the pleasure and finding its result, the man reacted with disappointment and said that he wasted several years of his life, and for his sake of pleasure, it is not worthy to be chosen. A desire, if he were being given another chance to choose the gift, he would choose it with care and wisdom. Why did the fairy begin to cry when the man chose love? The fairy began to cry when the man chose love. When the man chose love, because, according to the opinion of Ferry, it was not the right decision of the man. Once again, he had made mistakes because the love also decreases gradually, and at last the man remains without it. Then, after their life's complete dissolution, at last the man cursed love in his life. How did the fame prove troublesome for the man? The fame also proved troublesome for the man because his name and fame, which was repeated on every tongue, faded after a short while. It would become the cause of envy. Every person who was in his favor began to criticize him, and it would bring humiliation and notoriety for him. At last, he got pity, which was the death of popularity. What did the man demand at last and why? The man demanded death at last because he had chosen all the gifts of fairy one by one, but none of them proved useless in his life and failed to bring complete peace and perfect satisfaction in his life. The pleasure, wealth, love, fame proved unworthy because they was not permanent. They bring unnecessary troubles in his life. So he realizes that these gifts unworthy to be chosen besides death because it's certain and bring love and fame and the regates of others. What did the fairy choose for the man, and if he asked her to choose a gift for him and why? The fairy would choose death for his man if he had asked her to choose a gift for him because she knew that death would bring sense of love, pleasures and fame in man because after death the man is regarded by everyone and everyone becomes his lover and he becomes popular in the society. In this way the death makes a man honorable and removes all the drawbacks of the man beside pleasures, love, fame and wealth. Why does the narrator curse all the gifts of the world? The narrator curses all the gift of the world because he says that the gift brings mockeries and troubles. In fact, there are sources of pain, grief, and shame, and as well as becomes the cause of poverty. It appears in the form of leading, which appears pleasant in the beginning, but at last it appears at a debt or loan, and man has to repay the gift in form of unnecessary agonies which appears as interest of loan, so that these fancy gifts becomes the cause of trouble in the life of human being. What is the power of man according to the narrator? What is the power of man according to the narrator? According to the narrator, wealth is in the form of power because the man can purchase anything on the world with money and he can make available of all luxuries of the world. Every person of the world becomes his friend and obeys his commands and kneels down before him. Every person talks about the wealthy person. In this way the riches has been considered in form of power in life of human being. Thank you.